Now, the fetter of craving. The Buddha called craving a fetter. Fetter means a chain that is used to bind prisoners. The Buddha said that there is no fetter like the fetter of craving. No other fetter is as strong as the fetter of craving. Nothing else will keep you forever and ever stuck in delusion, not free, not being able to move ahead as craving. Actually, the craving is a translation we use. The word he used, the original word, is thirst. The Pali word is tanha, which is a word for thirst. And a kind of feverish thirst. If you're very thirsty, just imagine, like you're really thirsty. Like how you can think of nothing else but that. Like somehow I should get water. That's how he described craving. This feverish thirst, this feverish longing. Is that comfortable? Is such a thirst comfortable? Not at all. Not at all. Craving at its absolute fundamental level, the experience of craving itself is extremely, extremely uncomfortable. Craving cannot be comfortable. Craving is there so that comfort can come. We crave so that we find what we want, we can get it into our lives and we can be comfortable. Because we are in so much discomfort. Before we eat, we have craving for that food. Is that craving comfortable? It's absolutely uncomfortable. We want to, because it is so uncomfortable, we want to extinguish that craving by getting the food, getting the social media, picking up our phone, checking WhatsApp every 2 minutes. What is this craving? It's so subtle. We have to question what is this craving. So it is a thirst to feel good in our body, to feel good in our mind, a longing for pleasant sensations. And what happens is, these pleasant sensations that come in, they feed what? Pleasant sensations in mind-body. They are feeding the mind-body complex and not allowing us to turn inwards to that awareness, which is where the deepest happiness and contentment and pleasure lies. So, what the Buddha is saying is that we are running after a pleasure that will never fill our stomach. Something that will always get empty again and again. Something that will never fulfill us. And we are choosing that in favor of something that is blissfully sweet and always present. Which is, what he is saying is remarkable, because if you want freedom from suffering, why would you choose this kind of a fulfillment over this kind of a fulfillment that is always in the need of being replenished, filled again, filled again, filled again. Relationship void. I want relationship. I want somebody to pay attention to me. I want somebody to look at me like this. I want to be understood. I want to be seen. All of it is craving, and not allowing us to look at what truly is there already in this moment. But what happens with craving is that sometimes when we talk about craving, we make a mistake. We say, is everything, all our aspirations craving? What if I want to do well at my job? I want to do well at my study. I want to learn a language. I want to enjoy a food. Is that a problem? It's no problem until it is bound with result orientation and expectation. The expectation of fulfillment is the problem. Aspiration to enjoy life, to create, because that's the nature of life. So craving has to be uncomfortable. It cannot be comfortable. Its nature has to be uncomfortable. It has to make you long, want, feel empty, inadequate if you don't get it. So at every level, craving will create difficulty. At the level of wanting itself, which is uncomfortable. Then if you don't get what you want, then the kind of sadness and despair that comes in when you don't get what you want. Then let's say you get what you want. Then the fear that now I have it, I'm very happy, now this will go away and change. What will I do now? So even if you get it, there is suffering. And then if it actually goes away, then the suffering and how good it was when it was there, now it's gone. At every level, craving will create suffering. At every level. Even if you get what you want, it will create suffering. Because it doesn't stay. You can enjoy it, but it doesn't stay. You'll want it again.